Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you again. I'll try to stay more positive this time. Yes.
Well, maybe very quick. I did an intro to you. Do you think I missed anything out on that? Do you want to add anything to your introduction before we kick off? There might be people who only watch this segment, so maybe you just want to do a couple of sentences so that it's only me speaking.
I was so impressed by the introduction. I was wondering,
fine.
is he talking about me? It can't be me, you know. Yeah, I guess by way of introduction, I'm from Norway, but I live in Switzerland and have spent most of my adult life and career internationally. Maybe most notably, I spent a couple of years in Japan in the 90s when everyone thought at the time that Japan was going to take over the world with Sony and Panasonic, and that didn't happen. And then I moved to China, to Beijing in 97. I'm carbon dating myself here now. Yeah, I had a front row at the transformation of China, and what a moment that was. And I went very deep into the China rabbit hole, published a couple of books on that, and we can talk about China. I'm looking forward to having that discussion. Then went to Silicon Valley for 5 years, so I saw a little bit of moving fast and breaking things. And now that I'm back in Switzerland, I'm trying to move fast and fix things. And I guess that's the transition to being your co-founder and the chairman of Umanitek.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, this session is more of a conversation. We're gonna have a few visual cues to help us guide that. And we are starting where you left off. So at your talk in the morning, you were speaking about the Oppenheimer moment in which we have found ourselves as a society, unleashing a piece of technology that has a potential to just have a huge impact in the way we not only live our lives, but also in what type of world we are entering as a species, because all of a sudden we have a new inorganic life form that we have to cohabitate with, which can kind of take us over on sprinting on the right lane as we're driving on the left. And with that caveat, do we feel that there's something to do, or is it a thing that we want to find the kill switch? What are your thoughts? Are you a remaining techno-optimist in the Oppenheimer moment?
Yeah, I think we gotta have hope, right? And we gotta be resilient. And it's through rain that you grow. And I buy into that things have never been better, right? You've all read Factfulness and Hans Rosling, and things are pretty good. But it wasn't a linear curve to where we are today, right? There were many near misses for humanity. The nuclear holocaust was one. COVID epidemic wasn't as lethal as we feared and thought it would be, but there's going to be another one. So I think we have to take some lessons from the past. We've been close to the brink before, especially, of course, in the late 60s and the early 70s, where we came close to nuclear extinction. I think we're there again, and it's as I said, I think we're sleepwalking to the potential end of humanity again.
Yeah, and it was this type of conversation that we've had as between the co-founders of Umanitek that really sets us on the trail of launching the company. Between us and Giga and then Branimir, also of course Asa Raskin, who was the architect of the social dilemma that you spoke about earlier in the morning. And the thing that was kind of in those conversations that came up is defining what are the immediate harms that we can start addressing. So we very much double down on the fact that it's not just, lie down and like see what harms are out there, despite the fact that majority of the industry might be focusing on the gains, the growing the bigger model or trying to get to the next frontier. but it was how can we go after the harms so that we could make the arbitrage or the jump from unsafe AI to a safe AI future. And I think that one of the things that really stood out is what's currently behind us on the slide as well is that notion that when we look at how AI harms are being created, we shouldn't look to solutions that involve a single entity approach, such as Ministry of Truth or a corporate of truth or a company of truth, that would be there as a single source of solving all of the issues. But we should rather look at the decentralized counterpart. There was a challenge, I think the way that you framed it is the biggest friction being the sharing of data, which we've seen from the global trade and other use cases being created on Origin Trail for many years before. And you being a part of Origin Trail ecosystem kind of spotted the pattern about how the same technology could equally be used for an upcoming challenge of AI content that's penetrating the internet.
Yeah, I think I'm a huge believer in both decentralization and also in capitalism. I'm a free market economist. I went to the University of Chicago, learned all about free markets and capitalism, and lived 10 years in China. So I've thought about this a lot. And I come from Norway, so I come from a social democracy. There are some things that I believe should be centralized, first to address that, and some things I think should be decentralized. I don't think everything in the world and society should be decentralized. For example, I think it's a good idea to have a national defense. I think it's a good idea to have a police. I think it's a good idea to have education for everyone, to have healthcare for everyone. There are some things that I think we as a society should organize for everybody. But when it comes to what should be decentralized, I think it really starts at the core and the pain point and the friction on the internet is that everyone gathers and protects their data, right? You want to protect your data. Meta want to protect their data. They don't want to share data with Google. US don't want to share data with China. And this is both of course, the gold, of our era, but it also is the biggest friction, because if there are harmful content like deepfakes or fake accounts or child explicit sexual material, revenge porn, all these dark assets, digital assets on the internet, if data remains siloed, no one can share data, that is such a big friction point, and that friction point we need to break, and that can be done in a couple of ways. I guess that's what you see on the screen behind us here. If you're going to remove the friction of sharing data, you could have the Ministry of Truth. We've had some experiences with ministries of truth in the Soviet Union. There's a couple of them in North Korea and a couple of other dictator states around the world. They have ministries of truth. I don't think we want that. That model we've tried, it doesn't work well for humanity. Then you could have a company of truth. And there are a couple of companies. I think I can mention one of them. I think Palantir is in that category that says, give us your data. Let us have a look at your data. And we will tell you what data is good, what data is bad, what is fake, what is real, and we'll help you analyze and use the data. I don't think that model works for everyone. Maybe it works for you, maybe for the US, but I don't think the world and open society at large will subscribe to having a company of truth. So how we have approached this is that your data is your data. You keep your data in your environment, on your platform, on your device. It's your data. We never want to see your data, but we want to enable the ability to share data without sharing the underlying raw data. And that can only be done in a decentralized knowledge graph with a trust layer and a knowledge layer. So that, I think, is the solution to the biggest friction on the internet.
Yeah, no, I think it was so interesting to see also that there was a positive response to that type of thinking in all the conversation that, you know, through building the Umanitek Guardian network that were being held, that did lead to also creating what is today the largest repository of flagged content that's available in the globe, and is available through the Umanitek Guardian network by deploying basically the similar thing you saw across multiple presentations today, having a trust layer, having a knowledge layer, and having an agent on top that is able to access that structured knowledge, which in this cool case is also federated, or it's decentralized. So there's multiple different entities that are able to keep hold of and control that data. And what effectively we're getting with it, to your point, is that it's a way of building out almost an immune system, right? So if a piece of new content enters this network, it's almost like a virus is trying to enter your body, and if your body is familiar with that, it has antibodies, it can just send it over and eradicate that threat. And what we want to do here is a similar digital immune system where you have previous knowledge of flagged content. So if a new content is trying to get introduced onto your website, onto your phones, onto your wherever, you have something to fall back on as a safety net to check if this has been previously marked as harmful, so you can eliminate it before it's able to spread any further. And of course, that's only a starting point, right? What we're looking at here is a piece of, is an approach that's very valuable for, let's say, organizations or public authorities like law enforcement agencies, which can deal with massive cross-referencing across such knowledge bases and save months of times. And because, for example, if you're a law enforcement officer, you're a policeman, and you find a hard drive, there's 3 months worth of like hardcore, you know, imagery that you have to go through, or videos. And now you can either do this in person, or you use identifiers technology to encrypt it, and then you use the content network to search for matches across this network. You actually see, hey, 5 of these images or videos have already been marked by Interpol as illegal, so I can no longer need to waste my time looking at material that's harmful, but rather immediately start persecuting. The cool thing is that these types of agents aren't limited to solely these types of use cases, but they can also be created for individuals. And this is something that we wanted to talk more about today, but before we do, we'll just do a quick introductory video.
I was made to be angel pie. I look like her. I sound like her. But I am not her. I was created without her knowing. They used me in fake news, ads, lies, crime, even things too dark to speak of. And she never said yes. Her face, my face, her life unraveling. Until she found a way to take it back. The Umanitek Guardian Agent helped her secure her identity, own her image, and control her future. Now I am still her, but with her consent, her control, her power.
And with that introduction, I think it's a very exciting point where we can announce that we will be. Oh, I went one. No, it's good. Very good. It's a great pleasure that we can announce the Umanitek Guardian Agent will also become available for individuals, and that's something that is for us very, very important, because the impact that we can create now starts to expand across much larger group of individuals, which will be able to start protecting themselves on the internet. And the first, similarly to how when we started the company, we started looking what's the first immediate point that we can really start creating impact. The same line of thought was used, what's the first harm that we can start protecting individuals from. And the first thing that Umanitek Guardian is going to help you achieve is to protect your social media profiles against infringements. So think of your image, your name, your username, your bio being used across multitude of different platforms to either attack someone that's close to you by trying to impersonate you, or even in cases of, let's say, larger accounts, create financial harm by scamming people out of their funds, or even create the loss of revenue for IP holders globally. So it's something that is a very deeply powerful tool that will enable individuals to very quickly use the product that roughly covers these 4 different points that we will quickly go through now. So you'll be able to register your social media accounts. You can detect infringements that happened on the networks. You're very importantly able to create an evidence pack. So that is something that can help you then persecute that if you need to, or at the very least use this content to request a takedown from the platform where the infringements are taking place. And at the very least also help you with the takedown request itself, meaning closing the entire loop from infringement spotting, detecting, creating an evidence pack, and then helping you take that bad content off the internet. And this, of course, is something that is a very important first step that Umanitek is doing with releasing something for individuals. We're really looking forward to it. And there is one last point here that is also seen on the screen, which is called continuous guarding, which is something that's a very unique thing for Umanitek as well. And it very much leverages the decentralized infrastructure that we are building this product on. Because we want to turn every individual and every user not only as a passive user of the product, but also an active contributor of signal towards the content network. Think of it having something as simple as an extension on your computer, on your browser, that allows you to capture the relevant content and contribute it to the network. But not only, again, in a passive way, but you're able to also be actively adding your learnings or your signal through the extension. So let's say you've come across the credible crypto fake account, which is actually true, taken today, with 12,800 followers. This isn't something random that's obscure, that doesn't create harm. These types of accounts can be used to actively try to create harm across different social media networks. And the users of Guardian Agent will also be able to use the extension so that they can contribute the signal for when they see a harm happen online. So that's a huge thing, because think of going from authoritative sources to build the content network to the crawling approach, but now you also have the very granular approach of getting very high quality signal from any individual using the product directly. There we go. There was a slide in between, but it's here. This is what I wanted to show you. So you're able to create a report very easily, and then with that, you're also accumulating points. And here is another point that we wanted to make today, as we're not only talking about the creation of or announcing the coming release of the product for individuals, but we're actually starting with the activity as early as today. So what we're inviting you to do is to join our Red Team initiative. So the Red Team initiative is an extension of our already significant team in Umanitek, with the early users of Umanitek Guardian Agent product that will be selected from the applicants. You can actually scan the QR code here, or also found sorry if my big head's blocking you, I'll get out of the way. But it's you can also find it on the website. There's a form for you to contribute, and you're able to become a part of this. Basically join us in fighting the good fight, become a part of the Red Team that will be testing the product before it gets released, and of course have a chance to compete for the exciting rewards. which is why you should join the red team. There will be a chance for you to get early access to the product, meaning that you can trial and use for every pre-release versions of the product once they become available. So the red team is something that will be an ongoing effort for Umanitek product releases for Guardian. Very importantly, there will be an IPO that will be, for those in the Origin Trail community, an initial parenet offering, which will accumulate Neuro so that the red team contributors will qualify to collect the Neuro tokens as you will mine intelligence for the content network. And of course, there's some... Chris has the first swag, by the way. I do not have that t-shirt, and I'm mildly annoyed about it. But there's more goodies along those lines that will be available for the red teamers, and some very special Umanitek experience for those who will be the best red teamers. So there's definitely a leaderboard that's coming up where we will count the contributions from individuals that will be accepted in the group, and you'll be able to actually have a chance for some very, very cool experiences, including visiting the Porsche Museum in Stuttgart, have a chance to go for a drive with the fourth generation, Tony Piech, as well as being, of course, our guest in Stuttgart for the day that you're hanging out with us. Chris, sorry, I rushed through the slides. I didn't give a chance. I promised a conversation, but then I really took it over. So maybe I would give you a chance just to, with a question of sorts as well, in terms of how you feel the Red Team initiative and from your eyes, the importance of releasing a product that is tailored or aimed at individuals and not only at the corporate users.
Yeah, I think there's no way we could do this without the Origin Trail. I think to move fast in the age of AI, you need to take robust existing stress battle-tested technology like Origin Trail and have that trust layer and the DKG as the knowledge layer. That's enabling us to move very fast now. The AI agentic layer that comes on top is what we're talking about now. This will evolve. We have nothing to sell. We only have something to offer. We would love for you as individuals or as enterprises, I can say that as well, to join the Red Team to stress test the product. And we expect to have a commercial release of the B2C, or the AI agentic layer, probably sometime in January. So we're working as fast as we can on this. It's not going to take months and quarters to get this launched because of the robustness of Origin Trail. So join the Red Team, join this movement, I guess. It takes a village and it takes a lot of work and efforts to clean up the internet. And I will just part maybe on the note of being a parent. I have 3 kids. As a father, I would really like to know if there are images of my daughter on the internet somewhere, impersonations of her or fake accounts of her, pretending to be her, or of my boys. So I think you can all resonate to this as a human being and as a parent and a concerned citizen. We have to do something, and we have to do it very quickly. And there are probably many horses out there and many technologies and many initiatives that are trying to address this issue. It's the zeitgeist of our generation, right? This is one of them. So please, if you feel compelled, connect with any one of us and join the good fight.
Thank you. I'm getting stern looks, but do we have time for a question or two? Yeah? Yes? No? I don't know. Branimir Žiga, you're up next, so I'm looking at you. I mean, I am as well, but we're one question? We can do one question? All right.
One question, going once.
Shaw has a question.
I like asking questions.
Go for it, buddy.
I think
I think this is very interesting. I think a lot of people talk about the dead internet theory and like the world being full of agents. And I would counter, like, I see a kind of living internet theory where the world is full of agents and like all of social media is posting. But I think it's obviously going to be mediated by some kind of guardian agents, or like, you know, if that's me projecting into an assistant who's then going out into some hidden network or whatever it is. But I'd love to see, like, what do you think of, what do you extrapolate this to the future of the internet writ large, and like these kinds of, like, obviously this is like the other side of the solution to the problem, I guess, that we all see coming. If you could elaborate on that a bit.
Yeah. So if I take the previous slides that we had, like no ministry of truth or no corporate of truth, so the future is the bigger expansion of an open network where everyone is able to anchor their truth, to be honest, right? So it's like, you know, if I've made a speech or if I've made a post, it's something that I would like to have as a verifiable fact that is accessible to systems. And whether those systems are your agent consuming it or is, you know, my agent consuming it, regardless, they'll both look as the same fingerprint saying, okay, this is actually something that was added by a relevant identity that has reputation collected over time in certain amounts, and using those kind of primitives available on the verifiable primitives, you're able to make a choice at the end of the day, which goes kind of like to what Dr. Matkov was saying in the beginning, in one of the earlier sessions, that we would need to have filters for at the edge, at the individual levels, right? So, or at the agent level. And then it's up to the agent to process those data points and decide what is the truth for you, which might not be the same of what is you know, my pursuit of truth. But what we both need to have is the shared kind of common ground where we have all these facts anchored in. And this is what the content network aspires to do, is to take snapshots of what is out there and lock it in, and then make it available for agents to interact with. And then those interactions, you know, this is something that can scale, I guess, also because it's horizontally scaling. The more users they're in, the more devices get in, the more the larger the network gets, because with each additional user, in that sense, we're expanding the knowledge graph further out. So and that I guess would be the, let's say, long term. I hope I went into the direction that answered that.